Zcash 8th birthday anniversary. Thank you so much for joining. We're all here together, and we're celebrating the Genesis. the 28th of October, Zcash mined its first block, and since then it's kind of ushered in a new age where ZK proofs are used to protect people's financial activity, I suppose. Yeah, so let me just check the chat and see if... Awesome, cool. So we do have some like presentation slots where we've invited speakers from ECC, ZF, CCG, and from the community to speak about what they've been working on and what they've been doing to move Zcash forward. And so, yeah, without any further ado, I'd like to start with ECC. These are a few points that Vito has kindly prepared, and if can we invite Josh onto the stage somehow to speak about kind of what ECC's been doing around Zashi and around Zcash D being deprecated, all those good things.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, Josh.
Hey, this is great. Thanks for setting this up and hosting it. Happy birthday, everybody. Right, so you want me to focus on where we're focused?
Yeah.
Right.
If you could very quickly take us through some of the stuff that's been happening over the past year, and maybe some of the things that we could look forward to in the next couple of months.
Para que se cree conciencia sobre los riesgos de un mundo sin efectivo y por ahí.
Got somebody else. Yeah, so I can't believe it's been like a year since it hasn't been quite about a year since I came back. So I came back in December and made a few kind of shifts at ECC in terms of where we focused on and what we're doing. It was just like in our engineering stand-up just a few minutes ago, and we were kind of remembering how far we've come. Part of it was based upon Brave, so I put out a tweet this morning. I got a chance to meet with the Brave team this morning, and they were sharing a little bit about, or they were demoing shielding Zec within a browser, and it's just amazing to see. So it's been, you know, when I started, where I got engaged with the community, right, in order to send a shielded Zec, you had to use command line and I had to use a laptop, and to see it work in a browser. I mean, the amount of innovation that's happened through this project, and not just within this project, but what it's meant externally for the broader crypto ecosystem, and even for cryptography and kind of the first practical implementation of zero-knowledge proofs, and being able to do that now through a browser, to be able to do that on the phone after all these years, is just like freaking fantastic. So, you know, Strat had mentioned earlier on the call that we had internally, just the just the kind of the amount of progress that we made. So and what that means is that you know there's still a whole bunch of things that we need to do in terms of the core protocol in the stack, but it allows us to start building out better user experiences and making it more accessible for more people, whether it's through the browser or through the Zashi wallet. And that's where ECC's really been trying to focus, and that's why we released Zashi out to the world, and we've got a roadmap related to unlocking more and more capabilities for everyday people to use Zcash for everyday things, which is a lot of fun to be able to kind of move up that stack and to dream about what the kind of capabilities are that we can unlock on top of this protocol. And the thing that you mentioned about Zcash deprecation is that allows us to get there too, right? Because we've had the same consensus node from the beginning that's based upon this legacy Bitcoin C++ code, and there's just so much technical debt. I don't think people realize how difficult it is to implement improvements on on top of that consensus node, and to be able to get rid of the wallet is a big one, right? So that took us a whole bunch of time with adding things like unified addresses. And so once we're kind of unencumbered by that, and very much thank the Zcash Foundation and the work that they've done on ZebraD, that's going to allow us to move even faster. And so that's where we've really been focused, and that's where we continue to focus. We've got a bunch of work to do still on Zcash dedeprecation. We'll release a whole bunch more features on Zashi and continue to push that out, and then hopefully the stuff that we build with Zashi can be used by everybody in the ecosystem that wants to build their own wallets or do their own things. So very much committed to keeping that open.
That's awesome.
ZSAs is also going to be cool, but
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, please continue.
So yeah, that's one of the things that we're looking at too, is like, what is it, Zcash has been on its own island, and it's cool that, people are building bridges, and we'll have this Avalanche bridge, but we're looking at, like, what does it mean to have multi-currency support, right? So both within Zashi, just kind of native multi-currency support, but again, like with the introduction of Zcash shielded assets, the different kinds of assets that we may be able to kind of interact with directly on top of the Zcash chain. So that'll be pretty fun this next year.
Nice. And so, yeah, I have had this thought. I wonder if anyone else in the chat has been kind of pondering this, specifically with ZSAs. There was this verifiable encryption component that was thought perhaps necessary if Zcash were to get like centralized stablecoins made available. Would you think that maybe an effort to reach out towards like decentralized options like DAI or RAI, or maybe even I hear that Pay Wallet is coming out with a stablecoin. Could that be an option, maybe?
It's interesting. Somebody from the Pay Wallet had put out a tweet this morning and talked about how they don't have that. They don't have guarantee absolute privacy because they've got to comply. And I wasn't sure what that meant. Maybe that's related to the stablecoin. So yeah, if you create a stablecoin, then there's all kinds of compliance obligations as it relates to blocking and blocking users that are on the OFAC list or being able to freeze funds or that kind of thing. So there's all kinds of trade-offs. We had some of that debate within the Zcash community about what changes could be made in the protocol to be able to support these things. And personal opinion is, I think that the core Zcash protocol needs to remain pure without kind of code in there that facilitates third-party surveillance by governments or anybody else. And but there may be kind of interesting things again that you can do with these kind of decentralized stablecoins, or adding capabilities further up the stack that give people the option, if they want to participate in those kinds of things, that they can. And I know other people have difference of opinion on all that stuff, but would love to see it. The big thing is like getting ZSAs out there right now. We don't have anybody, to my knowledge, that's stepped up and said that they're going to be an issuer. And so, we need somebody to step up and say they're going to be an issuer and facilitate, driving liquidity and the things that need to be there around the technology to be able to make it an awesome experience. And so, we may play with some ideas at ECC too. No commitments on anything, but would love to see somebody do that. And man, if we had stables is the killer use case right now, and meme coins and stable coins, the killer use cases in crypto right now. So, yeah, it'd be nice to see that.
With like assets, I don't know, kind of like Dash or maybe Litecoin or coins like that. Like they don't. I don't. For some coins, it's like infeasible to develop with ZK, right? It would be too much resources on their end. So I think Zcash shielded assets could be offered as like you wouldn't even call it Zcash shielded assets. You'd just say, hey, there can be a Z Dash or a Z Litecoin or Z Dogecoin, and they would just like I don't know. It would be like a Zcash wallet, but only specific to the shielded assets version of their specific asset. If that makes sense. Anyway, thank you, Josh. We've gone through ECC, some of the cool things happening around Brave and Zashi. If now, perhaps we could move on to Zcash Foundation. And we have Dodger in the call. Hello.
Hello. How are you guys? Hang on. Where's my...
Yeah.
Hey, Dodger.
How do I switch on my video? Oh, video chat isn't available for more than 25 users. Never mind. Okay. I'm streaming some slides to show you all. I thought on the occasion of Zcash's 8th birthday, I'd share some photos from the day it was born. You know, a bunch of you may have seen us in mentioned in the New York Times. And what I found really hilarious about that was on the front page. If you look just above the page with our picture on, there's a little headline saying "Judge halts deal on surveillance by police department," which I thought was quite kind of funny. But yeah, like when Zcash launched, there was a lot of excitement. We were mentioned in the Economist, and that photo that you see there with a whole bunch of us, that was taken in an Airbnb in Pacifica in California, just kind of to the southwest of the Bay Area. And you've got myself, Zuko, you've got, I think, Brian Warner, Sean Bowe, Strad, Kevin Gallagher, and Jay. Jay's since gone on to run Blue Sky. And the photo was taken by Iran Tromer, who therefore got a picture credit in the New York Times. This is the Airbnb and the view that we had out to the Pacific Ocean. That's where the sort of mission control was. It was in the kitchen, and there was this big island in the middle of the kitchen where we all kind of sat around and set up our laptops, and that's what you saw on the live stream that was broadcast on YouTube. And again, lovely view out, and the food was on demand. The YouTube stream, by the way, was broadcast from a laptop that was on a stool on the counter there behind Paige. It was all very kind of ad hoc and a little bit, I don't want to say amateurish, but it was all very kind of half prepared, I would say. We had this, I can't remember who brought along the whiteboard, but I think it might be Maureen, but we had this to-do list, new user guide, pick a message for the Genesis block. That was a critical one. Mind the Genesis blocks, write blog posts, deploy mainnet, the whole entire list of things that we had to do. Or not, I say we. It was I was very much looking on. It was the engineers who were doing all the work. Here's Strad getting ready to mine the Genesis block, and if you look at the bottom there, you can see how we edited out the Bitcoin message and put in our own message, which included a headline from The Economist, which had a little article about Zcash that week. I think we had a Bitcoin block hash, we had an Ethereum block hash, and then we had the closing price of the Dow Jones index the previous day. Here's the Economist article that was published that week. This surreal experience of going into the Economist's office to do this interview and kind of tell them what the whole project was about, and then flying over to California to help launch the thing. And we had some very tired engineers. I seem to recall, I'm sure Strad might chime in at some point. We had there was some issue the night before. Strad stayed up very, very late, and Kevin.
Oh, that was the message.
Was that the message?
So
reminding the Genesis block.
Yes, because we picked the message. That was that checklist on the board, and then I'm nutting away getting the things ready. And about 1 or 2 a.m., I happen to restart my node, and it crashes. And it turns out that there's a rule for Coinbase specifically around like the script pubkey and script sig sizes can be at most 100 bytes. But that rule is not enforced for the Genesis block when you start a node from scratch, because the Genesis block gets side-loaded, and it bypasses all the consensus rules. However, when you then do a reindex, the Genesis block gets not side-loaded, but loaded from the on-disk blocks, and it goes through the consensus rule checks, and violated this one. So we've mined the Genesis block, got it ready to go, everything was loaded in, and then I forget if it was just by happenstance we happened to do a reindex and found this problem. And the options were either change the message, and like, well, we can't really do that without everyone else sort of feeding in. It was 2 a.m. And then I was like, can we just change the consensus rules to allow it as a treat? And Sean puts on his Nate hat and goes, no, we're not changing the consensus rules the day of the launch. So instead I remind the Genesis block a second time.
With the right decision. We don't do West, it's better.
No. But it did mean that it got to like 6 or 7 a.m. and we were just like, oh, well, it's too late to go to bed now.
Yeah, I did another photo I didn't include here of you in your, basically kind of in your pajamas, looking very, very tired, drawing something on the whiteboard. But yeah, this is what the view of from the table was like. Over there on the left-hand side, you can see above the fireplace are all the DVDs with the archive of the kind of the ceremony to create the toxic waste and all that sort of stuff. They were on display.
Dodger, can I ask, what was the time span between doing the trusted setup ceremony and Genesis block?
I wasn't involved in the trusted setup, so I'll defer to one of the engineers. I'm sure Stratadera can answer that one better than me.
Curious.
I wasn't involved in it either. It was actually probably of the people. It was Sean who ran it, and I think Zuko was one of the members for the final ceremony.
I don't remember. It was a couple of weeks. I remember we did a test run of the setup ceremony a couple of weeks early. And we kept those parameters in case something went wrong with the real ceremony, then maybe we could fall back to the test run parameters. And then we did the real ceremony, and it was, I think, like 1 or 2 weeks before the Genesis block. But I don't remember clearly.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, and in the background here, you can see some chocolate Zcash coins that were made. And were distributed at a kind of a launch party that we had in San Francisco a day or two later. I'm pretty sure I still have some of those chocolate coins. Wouldn't want to eat them. No. Yeah, but listen, let's talk briefly about what the Zcash Foundation has done in all this time. Obviously we've done Zebra, which is now set to become the primary and indeed the sole node implementation for Zcash. We've created Frost, and that's already been used to sign transactions. I think Dismad, if he's on, I think he signed. He did a transaction using Frost, and Conrado's been working on a comm server to make it easier to integrate Frost into wallets. We provided a home for ZCG for the past 4 years. And we've set up the Financial Privacy Foundation to provide a new home for it going forward outside of the US jurisdiction, so we get a bit of geographical decentralization there. Obviously, the most important thing, and the one thing that sticks in people's minds, particularly Josh's, is we did some Zcons. We also did some. We've also provided support to the community. We've got the forums running, and I want to give a shout out to Sean, aka Mine Zcash, who was for a long time in charge of those, and then took a little bit of a hiatus, and is now thankfully back. We sponsored the setup of the Zcash AV Club, and people can also currently access a little bit of tech support from our own Auto Tunafish. And along the line, we also gave a whole bunch of grants, and more recently, we've been doing our minor grants program. Some of those grants include ledger integration, which is very, very close. the programmability, systemization of knowledge, which will hopefully help provide a bit of a map forward in terms of how we go about adding programmability to Zcash. We sponsored some research into privacy-preserving proof of stake and the sort of trade-offs that are involved there. You may not know that Pay with Z.Cash was funded with a Zcash Foundation grant, as were Zec Wallet, Nighthawk, Zepio, Zcash for Win, and Zcash for Mac. We funded a Bolt proof of concept, ZBay, which I think has since been retired, Zboard, and a point of sale solution by Chili Bob, if I can recall correctly. So yeah, a little bit more than just a few Zcons. I think we are looking forward to continuing to do a lot more as both the foundation and Zcash itself evolves. As Josh mentioned, we got Zcash shielded assets coming up, and that's cool, but I don't think it's anywhere near as cool as what's going to happen when shielded asset swaps become available, because that will turn Zcash into a settlement platform for decentralized exchanges, which has got a lot of potential. At the moment, decentralized exchanges are tightly coupled. The settlement platform and the order matching engine are typically very, very tightly coupled. And what we're going to be able to offer is a common platform that anybody can build a DEX on top of, and that's something that I think is going to be super exciting. To really take advantage of that, we need to look at building bridges to other blockchains, and that's something that we're thinking a little bit about here at the foundation. Obviously, programmability is my own personal hobby horse, and something that I really hope to be able to start to move forward in the coming year or so. We may have proof of stake coming up soon, and we got Sean Bowe, who's now doing some research into scalability. So maybe we're going to start seeing out-of-band transactions, maybe roll-ups, a sync blockchain. I don't know, but really important. I think we're going to see more decentralization. Even today, we have more organizations, more developers contributing to Zcash without being beholden to any one organization. And I think that's a good thing, because the more developers we have, the more functionality we have, the more people will be attracted to use Zcash. So,
and on that point,
yeah,
just before you continue, Dodger,
I'm finished now, so go ahead.
Okay, good. So the Zcash shielded assets thing that you were talking about, with this cycle of users and adoption, something I've been quite interested in is the potential for like the order matching software to be bundled with a Zebra node, so that if you run a Zebra node, you can also match orders and earn Zec for doing so. I think that would be really good for the ecosystem, but do we have any information on if that's part of the plan, part of the roadmap?
That's not in our planning at the moment. I think that there's a few different ways you can do order matching. So you could, in theory, do order matching on chain. Probably not in a private way, though, because it'd be difficult, I think, to do that. But you could have a situation where you post your order to the chain, and then anybody who wants to hit or lift it just posts a matching transaction. So that's something that could be done at the protocol level, and that would be a truly decentralized exchange. It wouldn't be a case of you're going to a single entity like Uniswap or whatever, and then paying them trading fees. You'd obviously be paying transaction fees for posting the order, and then for posting the hit or the lift. So that's one way. Another way is to have the order matching happen off chain, just like, so it could look like a traditional exchange, or a little bit like a traditional exchange. And then when two orders match, they then switch to posting the necessary swap transactions on the chain for that transaction to settle. And if you have the shielded asset swaps on the Zcash blockchain, then anybody could build the order matching engine, and you could have competition between different people, or different people could cater to different target markets, or they could bridge different assets or whatnot. So I don't think it needs to be something that gets built into Zebra. I mean I'm not saying that we would never consider doing that. Obviously, there'd be some regulatory considerations to think about, but I think it's more likely that either we'll end up with on-chain orders and matching, and it doesn't have to be on the main chain. We could have that on a side chain, or we just have you could imagine where Uniswap go, right, we've got our main platform over here, but now that Zcash has become a popular platform, we'll build an order matching engine that caters specifically to that market and settles on that chain. I think there's a lot of innovation that can happen in that space once the underlying functionality is available.
Sorry.
Somebody sounds excited.
Yeah. Cheers, Dodger. Yes, like a separate network or a separate protocol, and the out of band transactions is interesting as well. Like you mentioned, Sean and I think Zashi as well might be working on that. Did anyone have questions in the chat for Dodger?
I didn't have a question, but I did have a thought. What about atomic swaps? That seems like a really cool way of growing as well. Is there any research into that area?
Do you mean atomic swaps within the Zcash blockchain? So between, for example, Zcash and ZSAs, or do you mean atomic swaps of Zcash for, say, Bitcoin, or Zcash for Ethereum?
All the above. What are the options? What's feasible? What isn't feasible?
So Kedit are working on the former. They are working on being able to atomically swap between shielded assets. So that's why I'm so kind of optimistic and excited about the prospect of Zcash becoming a true DEX. The atomically swapping with other chains, we know that it's possible with Bitcoin because we did a kind of a prototype of it at ECC, probably 2017 time. In fact, it was Jay Graber, who's now running Blue Sky, who worked on that. I believe there was also a little bit of experimentation with atomically swapping to Ethereum, and I can't remember the details of that, but Sean was involved in that. But again, that was very, very early days. To be fair, the atomic swaps between Zcash and Bitcoin, that relies on transparent transactions. So yeah, we're kind of tied a little bit to that kind of sort of legacy functionality. But who knows what will become possible once we get those shielded asset swaps going.
So, not on the topic of shielded assets, but atomic swaps with Zcash, I did invite Exodus from the Decred project, and I don't know if he has his mic, but he might be able to talk about Zcash with Orchard. So you could store your Zcash in Orchard and store it privately and perform atomic swaps to Polygon USDC or USDT. Exodus.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so my name is Exodus, and I'm here just to let you guys know that Bison Wallet, a new peer-to-peer atomic swap exchange, will have Zcash markets available later on this week in a patch release. So this will allow the Zcash community to execute trustless atomic swaps with no KYC with a number of different coins, including stable coins like USDT and USDC on the Polygon Layer 2 network. You can do Ethereum as well, but Polygon is better because it has low fees and fast confirmations. There's also support for Zcash's shielded pool Orchard when doing swaps. giving Zcash users the privacy they expect. And Squirrel has said he will be running market makers on the Zcash pairs, so there should be liquidity on day one. Bison Wallet is a free and open source software. Bison Wallet is free and open source software funded and maintained by the Decred DAO. Outside contributions from other projects are welcome and encouraged. In Zcash's case, we'd really like to implement some sort of light wallet, whether that be SPV or Electrum or some other variant, so users won't need to run full nodes. So if you guys maybe could allocate some sort of dev power to making that happen, it would make the experience much, much easier for new users who want to engage in permissionless atomic swaps. One of the developers of Bison Wallet said that having a Zcash library in Golang or certain parts in Go would make that much easier to implement. So if someone wants to reach out on GitHub, it would be very much welcomed. Anyways, thanks for having me on to speak. You can check out Bison Wallet at bisonwallet.org or follow Bison Wallet on Twitter and join the decentralized atomic swap trading revolution. And just like Squirrel said, there have been atomic swaps between Zcash and Bitcoin for some time now, but kind of the major roadblock here is you need to run a Zcash full node in order to do those.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. And apologies for trolling your YouTube streams every time they happen.
Squirrel, I just want to mention too that Liz from Lease Authority, if I'm not mistaken, is performing a audit on that DEX for the Zcash portion of it, which I thought is pretty cool as well.
Nice. Awesome. Looking forward to it. So I think he said a week or so.
Yeah. Later on this week, they're releasing a patch release, and the main market is going to be with USDT on Tether, and there's actually an arbitrage bot where you can arbitrage between Binance and the DEX.
Nice. Yes. So an important point: if you are going to use Bison DEX, Bison Wallet, you will need to have a fully synced Zcash D, and so. I wonder if Paku's here or Dan or Pilly. This is kind of the application that you guys are looking to.
I'm here.
Hey, Paku. So yeah, this is kind of the applications that use Zcash D. That because we're moving to Zebra, it could be good to get in contact with those.
Yes, I was just going to interject to say that we're reaching out to everyone who's running Zcash D to ask them to fill in a small, it's not a survey, it's just like a small checklist of things that we would like to know from them in order to incorporate any requirements they have or use cases they have for Zcash D in the new infrastructure we're building with Zebra and Zino. So then if people from Bison Wallet want to ping me and we can get that rolling, it would be super awesome. And congratulations to you all for this great achievement. I'm really thrilled to actually try it out.
Who's speaking right now, just so I can ping you? I can't see.
Hey, Paco. PACU, I don't know which number of...
Okay, I see now. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
May 1st, my first Zcash. Yes.
Yeah, I just realized I forgot to mention that my first Zcash, who I think Elise is here, she'll be speaking later.
Yes.
Also received funding from the Zcash Foundation.
Oh yeah, I was just reviewing my chapter for version 2, which will be we're targeting to publish that also on paper. I don't know if it's going to be softcover, hardcover, but me, Elise, and the team are able to get my first Zcash into printing on demand, which is super important because, for example, if you want this book to be in a curriculum for a university, for a school, it has to be a book that has an ISBN, and so it's super important that we can, add some bureaucracy or oil to teachers wanting to teach about privacy and financial freedom and all that.
Hey, if it's available for purchase with shielded Zcash, I'll definitely get a couple of copies there.
Yeah, and the book is being translated to many languages by community members from all across the globe. I think this will be after version 2 is corrected in English, and then translations will start happening. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Super excited to work in my first Zcash, which is beautifully designed by Nini and Geffen, and with awesome Cypherpunk Zero artwork that was contributed by ECC.
Yes. I wonder if we have Jason still here. If he is, yes, he is. Jason, please come on stage. We have.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hi.
So yeah, we'd like to talk about Zcash community grants, their role in the ecosystem, some of the projects that they've funded, some of the exciting things that don't necessarily involve some of the main orgs, but are still coming to Zcash.
Yeah, so I guess there are a couple of us here from ZCG. I think Amber and G-Guy are also here. So we're 3 of the 5 committee members. And just for background, so Zcash Community Grants program, its stated mission is to fund independent teams to perform development for the public good of the Zcash ecosystem. The projects we fund are technical or non-technical. They include things like community programs, technical development, ecosystem support, so long as they're designed to help Zcash succeed. The program started in late 2020, and over the past 4 years has received 40% of the dev fund or 8% of the block rewards to fund this independent development. And as you know, Dodger talked a little bit about decentralization, and on that point, I think the ecosystem has become a much more decentralized place than it was before the grants program existed, when it was just ECC and ZF as the sole contributors to the protocol. And I think ZCG is responsible for much of that decentralization. We've brought in a number of independent teams that do development, funded a bunch of projects like ZecHub, YWallet, Zingo, Maya protocol integration, Zcash shielded assets. We funded a coin holder voting mechanism that's been used for dev fund discussions. We've done shielded integrations with Ledger and Keystone hardware wallets, videos with Zcash Media. They're developing an Avalanche bridge kit from Red Dev. And we've brought in core contributors that are super valuable, like Han, Least Authority, Kedit, Equilibrium. So in addition to that, I think we've sort of made the Zcash ecosystem a much more vibrant place. And the community is much larger and diverse because of some of ZCG's programs, which include like ZecHub, which does educational and community initiatives, Global Ambassador Program, Zcash Brazil. And it's been really cool to see like all these sub-communities come into being alongside, you know, other independent like community groups like Zcash Espanol, the ZK AV Club. Yeah, so I think like with regard to the past year or two, things have been challenging with the bear market. We only have about 2 to 3 million that we have to allocate to different projects, and that sort of forced us to be more selective with grants. But you know, we have continued to help out the Zcash ecosystem. I mentioned ZecHub as an important organization that does educational and community initiatives. They have a DAO and Bounty program where they allocate funding to independent contributors to produce different educational content, and that's been a huge success. We've brought in independent development and security resources like Taylor Hornby. and then later Lease Authority serve as our ecosystem security lead. They provide advice to developers. They do code review, perform audits. Somebody mentioned the work that they're doing on the Decred decks. So it's cool to have that resource. We have Paku, who serves as our developer relations in a developer relations role and helps sort of fill gaps within the Zcash ecosystem with regard to wallet development. He's been helping out a lot with coordination on Zcash deprecation. Zingo has also come in and helped out with Zcash deprecation. Somebody mentioned ZSAs, which will give users the ability to mint private assets like NFTs, stablecoins, private Bitcoin, and Ethereum on top of Zcash. And, I think that's going to be a huge win for ZCG. We've allocated a good portion, probably around 50% of our funds to that initiative. And we're hoping that it's included in NU7, and we'll start to see assets trading as soon as mid to late 2025. But why don't I give Amber and G Guy a chance to talk about some of their favorite grants that we funded and some of the work that we've done. And we can talk a little bit about the future of ZCG and some of the things that are coming up.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah. Hey, I was just going to say one of the things that hasn't been mentioned here, which is super exciting to me, is we recently funded ChainSafe to do some work on getting a MetaMask Snap that would have ZEC support. So that'll be really exciting. And then going forward, like you can imagine the possibilities with the CSAs and other assets, and just being involved in that ecosystem, I think is a really exciting opportunity. So I'm really excited to see that work play out. They've just completed the library, the browser library, which will support interacting with Zcash, and I believe they've just begun work on the app side of things. So that's really cool and exciting to me, and I hope to see some cool projects in the future for that. Are you there, Amber?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Some of the most exciting things to me that are coming up and that we've done already some groundwork on and have been mentioned are things that contribute to further decentralization. So I'm really excited about coin holder voting and how it might be used to help have the community be more decentralized in its decision making. Although I don't think that this means that there's no role at all for the ZCG or grant giving bodies in the future, but I think that we can probably leverage that quite a bit. And I'm excited to see what happens when we move to a different administrative body with FPF. The other thing that's really exciting to me with decentralization is to have the possibility of more people running their own nodes. And so I'm really happy about the new servers that we have for that. And we're doing security analysis on them, and we plan to be holding a demo to teach people how to do that soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Amber mentioned the move to FPF. So, the Zcash Foundation has done an awesome job the past 4 years administrating the program. They do all the elections with Zcap. They hold biweekly meetings and provide administrative resources to do our meeting minutes and move money, which is a huge deal. And we're going to be moving from ZF to becoming an independent committee under FPF, which is the Cayman Islands entity that received a grant from the Zcash Foundation for its creation. And we believe that it will give us a bit more autonomy in how we structure the program. It'll also give grantees more autonomy. And a good example of this is right now, the one big problem that the Zec Hub, Jason, you can probably speak to this better than me, but the Zec Hub bounty program has limitations in what it can fund, and sort of moving money to or funds to be administered to FPF sort of gives them more latitude and allows them to grow that bounty program and provide more independent contributors money for different educational initiatives. And there's this possibility where other entities can become independent committees under FPF. So things like Free to Z and smaller community programs that don't have the resources to have their own like operations and do the administration of funds can sort of rely on FPF for that and pay a small management fee. So we think that's a big win for the ecosystem that'll help decentralize the community even more.
For sure. Yes. So my thoughts on that: decentralization, always good. I think yes, it's going to be a big theme moving forward. Decentralization. Although yes, so in my like simpleton mind, I'm just thinking like we're all decentralizing, and then it's going to be under FPF, right? So what I'm really interested in is like Frost and Hans coin holder voting, and maybe some kind of anonymous mystery group just shows up on Zcash. Yeah, I don't know, radical talk. Let's move on. In fact, sorry, Jason, were there any what is ZCG looking for over the next year, would you say?
Did you say what are we looking forward to?
Yeah, what are you looking forward to, but also what are you looking for? So is there anything specific that you have in mind in terms of projects coming up?
Yeah, hey G Guy, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you're working on and with regard to the like changing things up with FPF and maybe some other things that you'd like to see us fund in the future?
Yeah, sure. Well, one opportunity that I've kind of taken on is as we transition to FPF, we've kind of got an opportunity to rethink how we do things a little bit. And one of the things that I've been working on is moving us off the submittable platform, which we know a lot of grantees have had troubles with, or editing and stuff has been an issue. So we're looking at transitioning to a GitHub-based platform for the grants. And then we should be able to have some history tracking and other things in there. So that'll be really cool. So it's an exciting little thing we're doing, which hopefully will be useful for grantees and applications and all the rest of it. And then regarding the future of funding things, I think, well, for one, there's so much exciting stuff happening in terms of what's going to be coming in 2025, I think, that, we'll be funding those through, whether or not that means continuation grants for those. We're going to start seeing cross-chain bridges being deployed, and then hopefully snaps and other things. So when we see those and see how much adoption and users and everything else comes into play, then I think we'll see what 2025 has to bring, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I'm very interested in hearing what people actually want to use and what people are looking forward to, because I think all of the input helps us make our decisions on so one thing I was going to say is given where ZCG is at, I think we're just really focused on funding things that have the greatest impact on the ecosystem itself. So it's all going to be adoption focused and seeing what users actually begin to use. So I think there's an exciting 2025 ahead of us.
Does anyone know when the next elections are?
They'll happen in December. I imagine CF's going to announce it at some point in late November. But just sort of building on what G-Guy was saying, I think there are two things that are like on my mind right now. One, Josh alluded to earlier today, which was we need to find issuers who are going to build on top of ZSA. So the big win would be a stable coin, and we've had conversations in the past with this company that's a subsidiary of Equilibrium called Membrane Finance, and they develop a Euro stable coin. And I think we want to try to see if they can do some research on whether or not it would be possible from a regulatory perspective to build like a private Euro stablecoin. Obviously, Euro stablecoins don't have as much liquidity um, as USD stablecoins like USDC, and the regulation in Europe is getting tighter and tighter. But I think it's something that's worth looking into, at least like having like a research or feasibility study done on. The other thing somebody mentioned, DAI or RAI, whatever it's called nowadays, and I think we should. On our list of things to do is reaching out to them and getting the conversation started. But I think the first iteration is probably going to be something like a stable coin or a meme coin, probably created by Zero Darts. And the other thing I think is more collaboration with other entities within the ecosystem. Like I'm pretty happy with the way that Paku got involved with coordinating the Zcash deprecation, the work that Zingo is doing with Zano, and I'd like to see more of that where we can sort of help other entities within the ecosystem deliver on their core objectives.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, so you made some really good points, and so people are looking for issuers, and so a thought that I have is like maybe it doesn't have to be an official issuer. Surely, if someone has enough Dogecoin, let's say, they could lock it in some kind of multi-sig and then issue a bunch of Dogecoin on ZSA. But then it becomes a matter of like, what's the official? Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I got confused myself there. Moving on, we have Shielded Labs, and Zuko is here with us. Hey. Or is he jumped off?
I can just give a quick overview of Shielded Labs. If
I was just searching for my microphone button, but I'd rather Jason do it because he's the executive director. I'm just the head of product.
Okay.
Yeah, so Shielded Labs. So Shielded Labs is an independent organization that I set up in 2023. That's sole purpose is to support Zcash. Two goals in mind in establishing it was to increase decentralization by being another independent organization contributing to Zcash, and then to make Zcash more resilient by building an entity outside of the U.S. So Shielded Labs is domiciled in Switzerland, which is crypto friendly, and it's big on protecting privacy rights. The coolest thing in my mind about that sort of sets Shielded Labs apart from other Zcash organizations is that it's the only organization in the ecosystem that's funded solely by donations and not the dev fund. We recently announced donations that we received from the Winklevoss brothers, from Vitalik Buterin, from the Anoma Foundation, and there have been some anonymous donors as well. And so this sort of allows us to set an example for the community as an entity that looks beyond block rewards for funding. That's not to say the dev fund doesn't have its value. It obviously does, as we've seen. But I think the cool thing about donations is that it sort of allows you to remain independent, and the people donating are Zcash holders and supporters who believe in us. They believe in Zcash, and they're giving us money with no real strings attached. Like it's not a equity deal or even a restricted donation, but they're sort of allowing us to do what we believe is best for Zcash, and I think that's really significant and very powerful. And so there's two main projects that Shielded Labs is focused on. The first one is what we now call the network sustainability mechanism, and so this is a modification to the issuance mechanism that enables ZEC from circulating supply to be burned and then recycled into future block rewards, and that can be used to sustain the network. And so the goal of this is to address an issue that has come up with Bitcoin and the future security budget due to the possibility that miner revenue from transaction fees may not be sufficient to provide network security as the block subsidy decreases further along the emissions curve. So we finished the implementations for Zcash D and Zebra earlier this month, and we're hoping to get this implemented at some point, in the future. There are two devs from Eiger, which is a subsidiary of Equilibrium. They're based in Europe that did the development work on this. And we're sort of in the beginning stages of building consensus for it. There's been some discussion on the forum, and I've been answering people's questions. Nate's been chiming in as well. And we just sort of want to spend the next month or two making sure the community understands what it is, its use case, answering questions, clearing up misunderstandings, before we go forward and start gauging consensus or polling the community and coin holders and sort of seeing if this is something that they want to include in a future network upgrade. The second project is Crosslink, and Zuko has been leading the effort on this. Do you want to talk a little bit about Crosslink?
Yeah, Crosslink is a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake protocol that Dara, Emma, and Nate originally came up with. And our goal is to deploy a first version of Crosslink. This adds finality so that people have justified confidence that incoming payments to them won't get rolled back. And in particular, CEXs will hopefully stop holding your Zcash for hours at a time when you deposit once we have finality. And it'll be more secure against different possible attacks thanks to the Crosslink protocol. And it'll give people the ability to stake ZEC and get rewarded for staking. And that increases demand for ZEC and decreases supply of ZEC. And it still has the proof of work component, so people can still get ZEC anonymously by mining. And I'm super excited about it. That's pretty much the spiel.
And one thing, I credit Nate and Strad as well as myself.
And Strad, okay, thanks. Sorry, Strad.
It's okay. So did you suggest the linearity rule? I think so. Yeah, the linearity rule is basically what makes Crosslink 2 a lot simpler. It's basically just a single train rather than a series of snapshots that you have to stitch together.
And that was Strad's contribution?
Strad suggested the rule that made that possible. I don't know whether Strad knew that would be possible as a result of that rule, but
nice. Yeah, it's a great protocol at a security architectural level. It matches Zcash's high standards of a tradition of high security and integrity.
Yeah, I was actually working on the security proof for the new version today for the latency improvement. So previously there was the finalization latency was roughly twice what the number of confirmations will be for pure proof of work network, but now it's basically the same plus a little bit of overhead for the BFG protocol.
That's exciting.
And that security proof goes through, which is great.
So I didn't fully understand that, but does that mean that transactions will be final in just over 75 seconds?
No, because it's not safe to do to use Zcash at the moment with a confirmation depth of 1. So if you want the property that your so you depend only on the weaker of the BF2 protocol and the proof of work, then you need to at least pay the finalization latency that you would for proof of work. There's no free lunch there. Although I've been thinking about a way where if you trust the BF2 protocol more than the proof of work, then you could get a smaller latency potentially. I'll have to think about that a bit more.
Interesting. And there was one thing, so I don't fully remember what happened during the Arborist call. There was some conversation around like splitting the block rewards between proof of work and proof of stake. So like Zuko mentioned, having people stake Zec is really good. It reduces sell pressure, and also like splitting block reward between like hardware miners and proof of stake would maybe be like a second halving within 2 or 3 years. Is that right?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So I think I understand the question. I mean, so if you split the issuance evenly between sort of stake rewards and mining block rewards, then yeah, it is a little bit like another halving, but it's so the same party can do mining and staking. So that could be one way in which they potentially get around that. In terms of the effect on the mining difficulty, it would be like another halving, yes.
Cool. Right, so we've covered Shielded Labs. Wonder if anyone had any questions in the chat. You can turn on your mic. If not, let me check. It's not halving from a monetary curve perspective. The circulating supply increases as before, but it's a halving from the perspective of of proof of work. And it's like a question as to what proof of the power people are doing. Let's move on to community projects. If we could start maybe with Zcash Brazil, giving updates on what they've been up to over the past year and maybe what they're looking forward to.
Sure. Thank you, Square, for hosting this. Greetings from Brazil, everybody. Thank you all for accepting the invitation to the anniversary. I have summarized some points about our community progress in Brazil. So after our proposal was approved last year, we started the year with our weekly calls on Thursday, which means that we were updating the community about the whole things that's happening in the privacy and the Zcash ecosystem as a whole. We also reinforced on our YouTube channel with content in Portuguese, like taking the playlist perspectives playlists and workshops in English. We translated also a lot of articles to keep the community updated, which includes Zcash D updates, Zec Weekly, now Zcash Digest, and Zebra updates and all the things that's happening. We maintained the constant organization in the server, the Zcash global server, with the projects that's with us, like Zec Hum for Zcash, ZKAV Club. And we also created quizzes based on community content, such as videos from Zcash Media and topics on Arbors calls and weekly calls and the whole important calls and content. And we keep helping projects like Zec Hum for Zcash and ZKAV Club with our participation. like Mini and my first Zcash, myself and Zach Hub and the ZKV Club, Isaac providing support to this community as well, and Yogi. We hosted important events on Discord with translations, like ZCon 5 to Portuguese, because there are a couple of guys from the community that don't speak in English, so we try to pass the informations to them using translations. We participate in in-person events to onboard new users by explaining what Zcash is, building connections, and distributing giveaways like stickers, glasses, t-shirts, and more. And at these events, we also work to increase the wallet adoption by giving attending some Zach when they install Zashi, for example, helping them to learn about how the wallet works. And we expand our Twitter with spaces hosted by Amandita and Zcash Brazil and Michael about privacy and the different themes related to that, and guests. And a part of our devs, including James Katz and Cassia, they continued the work on development bots for Zcash Global, along with maintained as well, including GZ Wallet was the first wallet, shielded wallet for Discord, developed by James Katz, I think 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Zach GPT to help new users to understand what is going on and what Zcash is and all the stuff that they need to learn. Zcash Bridge, which helps to connect Zcash Global to other communities like Matrix in Telegram. It's had been very useful because we have the ECC server, iWallet, and we are like connected with them to help users and improve the experience in the server. The halving countdown is a new bot. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but it's like counting the time for halving. The Zmorning bot, it's a bot for interactions like good morning, and anti-spam bot to like help the security of the server and the Telegram, including the Zcash community with partnership between James Katz and Jay. Still in this topic, we have opened community opportunities for members to help with the development of Zcash, such as John with donations on FreeZ, and Cassia helping with the server bots, like with giving James Katz assistance for his work. We started a mini workshop on Zcash usability, about usability, and important tools like how to buy a gift card with Zach and stuff like that. Also made some partnerships with influential projects in the Brazilian crypto space, such as Brave, Modular, Ning, Secret, and Cosmos. And we had a proposal approved by Zach Hubdal to do a marketing campaign with the digital podcast Block F about CBDCs to warn the community about this topic, because it's not too popular, or is getting to, but they need to understand why Zcash is important in this area and at this moment. And we delivered avatar to the most activity members, designed and handcrafted by the design team. Like you can see, my avatar and the other ones from this call was designed by Yogi. It's like a PFP. And our reports, monthly reports, are being posted on the forum, and all work that we had done, and it's like open source, open for everyone to use. And the metrics and the whole things that we had been doing since we started, it's on the forum. Thank you.
Thanks, Vito. That was a lot of stuff. Obviously, Zcash Brazil, probably the busiest out of all the community projects, and the work that they produce, like all the designs. If any of you saw the Zcash poster that went out earlier, well, yesterday I think, that was made by Mini, and yeah, all of their work is stunning. Thank you. Cheers, Vito.
Thank you, man.
No worries. So I think very quickly, me and Dismad might be able to go over some of the stuff that Zechub's been doing. So yes, we started the year, and we we are currently members of the Nomada Community Builders program. As part of that, we we did videos for them, made posters, and that's all very cool. I think some of our most important work has been done through the DAO. So I wonder if I could, or in fact, if you guys can see my screen, here is the ZCub Wiki dashboard. So the entire ZCub Wiki, all of it is made by contributors. So these are people around the world that wish to contribute to Zcash, to move Zcash forward in some way. Zcash all-time high is coming. Yes, it might be in the next 2 days. Who knows? So yeah, everything you see here was made by Zcashers, and they earned ZEC. So if you really think about what's happening, ZEC is being used as a method of private payment, kind of what it was designed to do. Its purpose is being fulfilled or executed in some way. So we have the wallets page. This was done by Alarosu, and something that we're going to add very soon is a sync speed meter. Just some indication to new users of how fast they can expect their wallet to sync. I think that would be helpful for people. Something very new is Spedin. So with the kind of partnership that's happening between Flexa and Zashi, I hope this works. Okay, we've got this Spedin store locator. This is something that they actually don't have available. If you download the app and you want to know like where to spend from their app, they don't have like a place that you can select the store that you want to go to, the state, and the city, and it will show you this is where you can spend with Spedin. So it's kind of efforts like these. We are aware that Flexa does have some kind of grant system, and so we think it'd be cool if we alleviated the I don't know, pressure on the Zcash, the grants which are made available at Zcash by seeking external grants in some form. It's going to be very embarrassing. Okay, so this is something else. We made a DAO messenger, and so this is something where you can see all the DAO members, and if you have like a specific request, if you're looking for help with, let's say, joining a existing global ambassador program or something like that, can send spam to Jason McGee using shielded Zcash. And then you'll send it, when you click send, it will generate like a Zcash payment URI and very hazardously open it in your wallet. So this is the final thing, and it's still not complete, but we have recently received a message from Ycash. Someone at Ycash got in touch with us, and he was looking like, hey, how can we build a community? And so I think the first coolest thing that we can do is integrate Ycash. So like add Ycash donations, shielded donations to ZCub. And Nomada mainnet launch phase 3 hasn't started yet, but once it's available, I'm interested to look into the keychain documentation and figure out how to do it. And Penumbra, the same. So I actually tried to install the dependencies to connect it with Prax Wallet, but it's coming soon. We also produce guides. They're contributors again that make guides on like text addresses, and people who make videos through our YouTube channel. Lots happening. Maybe a final thing would be some of the stuff that our DAO has been up to recently. I think the coolest thing that I could point to is the Zcash Nigeria privacy empowerment on campus. So CJ Frankie, who's been with us, I think, for about a year, requested Zcash to hold an event at a polytechnic. And he did it and executed it perfectly. I'm still trying to locate the merch. It'll be with you soon, CJ, if you're here. But yeah, it went really well, and we used my first Zcash as like material to work from, and I think it went quite well. Something that happened in the past day is the Batuhan, if he's here, the Zcash Turkish, the new Zcash Turkish ambassador or Turkey ambassador, has joined us. So proposals are open to anyone. If you have an idea of something that ZCub should do, you can literally just create a new proposal, and the members of the DAO will vote on it. Did I miss anything, Dismad?
You know, I just want to add, on terms of the website, we started with just a real basic notion, and it was really more from the community how it's turned into what we have now. And I'm really proud that it's really just flourishing in a slow and steady way, and we're building on it, and I love it. And also, don't forget, we did attend ZCon, so please check out the on the Zcash Foundation's website. We had a presentation at ZCon that was pretty cool, and some of the other things that we are doing is kind of unifying the community, keeping tabs on everything, asking questions, directing people to the right places, to the right people. But at the end of the day, it's really the community that's doing the work. We're just kind of here running the ship. I have so much fun doing this, and I hope that everyone in the community values what me and Squirrel have been doing. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone. This is awesome.
Cheers, thank you. Did anyone have questions for ZCub? Let us know. Yay, ZCub is awesome. Thank you, Zuko. Okay, I suppose with that, we can move on to, if we have someone from Zcash Espanol, we have Roosevelt, and I'm not sure if we have Robmar. Roosevelt, would you be willing to speak?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hey.
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here to sharing with all the Zcash family. The Zcash en Español community, we have a lot of work to do. But first, I have to say, we are waiting for the CCG to reconsiderate, to rethink our proposal. Please, rethink our proposal. But even we are working on several workshops. We are preparing some workshops to talking with new users about Singo. We are a CK radio, Rockmar have a online radio with programs to not in Spanish, but to record, for example, these calls to people can hear again. Okay, we have we are working with CKAV Club with Ryan to make some workshops too. We have and two with the SecHub. We have proposals, weekly proposals for to integrate the community with earn some sex and to be more integrated with all the ecosystem and to know to learn about what we do inside Zcash. And we're happy. Right now, Roma have electricity problem in Venezuela. I'm here with Aura in Spain. with very optimism with the future of the community in Spanish.
Awesome, thank you.
I'd like to put in a good word for Zcash Espanol. I was quite disappointed that they didn't get the grant, so maybe that can be reconsidered. I was going to get started on the forum, but other things intervened. Yeah, they have my support.
Thank you, Daira. Thank you.
Yes, it turns out quite a few people in the world do speak Spanish. Right, so with that, we can move on to My First Zcash. It is a workbook. It teaches about Zcash and financial knowledge. I'm missing the term. Elise, would you mind hopping on the mic?
Literacy.
Love it.
It's funny, that word.
Thanks, Zuko. Are you able to see my presentation here? Okay. Well, hey everyone. Squirrel and Vito, thanks for putting this presentation or this birthday party together. This is fantastic. The My First Zcash project is something that I'm just so proud of. It has been such a great success in the Zcash ecosystem this year, with all the credit going to all the people who have worked on the version 1 team and the version 2 teams. People have worked tirelessly behind the scenes, and they've been writing great content that's made its way into the workbook, developed beautiful designs, and we've had some just really talented designers pulling everything together into the gorgeous layout that it's become in the version 1 workbook. The flip book, you'll see there the QR code to that flip book. The flip book has now been downloaded, get this, 900 times since it was published at ZconV. I just feel like that is way beyond my expectations. It's so exciting to think about all of those people getting their hands on some Zcash knowledge, in one place, one organized way to learn about Zcash from beginning to end. The book is available as a PDF on GitHub as well, and translations of Chapter 5, which is Intro to Zcash, were created by community members in preparation for today. So today is Zcash's birthday. It's also Zcash Global Education Day. Zcash Global Education Day is an idea that kind of sprung forth from a My First Zcash meeting. I'll talk about that in just a second. But I wanted to talk about the talent and enthusiasm that's present across the whole Zcash community demonstrated in this one instance. So when the My First Zcash meeting was taking place one day and this idea kind of surfaced, we started saying, hey, maybe we should try translating Chapter 5, just that chapter, and then translating it to as many languages as we can, and then offering on the ground, wherever you live in your local community, Zcash, primer, like come and learn about Zcash in my community at my local library. I'll, use a free facility and teach people, invite them to learn about Zcash. So in 1 week, we were able to accomplish so much. 14 translators were able to complete translations into 12 languages. And you'll see there in the graphic that you can access those translations of Chapter 5, as well as a few of the Privacy Manifesto, which has been translated into a few languages now as well, all in 1 week. Can you believe it? I was really impressed. So those resources are being utilized by individuals and organizations hosting local Zcash events today around the world. Zcash in Espanol, I got to give you a shout out. You have some big events planned today. For example, one happening in Caracas, Venezuela. It's super impressive. Version 2 of the My First Zcash workbook is underway. Chapter authors are proofing their original text. And the project's creative designer, that's Minnie from Zcash Brazil, is coordinating the layout. Hey, Minnie. The goal is having a printed paper copy available on Amazon by the end of this year, along with a Kindle version. So you'll be able to download it on GitHub. There'll be a flipbook version. You can buy a paper copy on Amazon, and there'll be a Kindle version that you can look at, electronically on your Kindle. Next year, we're going to tackle translations, translations across all of those different languages that are represented in our chapter 5 translation. So pretty exciting. I just feel like it's just been an amazing experience, and I'm so grateful. Global Education Day, I want to talk about that just for a second. That's happening today. The inspiration for this happened, like I mentioned, during My First Zcash weekly meeting. Hat tip to Paku for suggesting that we have this coincide with Zcash's birthday. That was a great suggestion, and the rest is history. And I did want to make sure that if we haven't already, that we give a shout out to Squirrel and Vito for organizing this meeting, and to ZKAV Club for supporting everything that's happening here today, and also for broadcasting that, I think maybe on Twitter or YouTube. Thank you for creating this celebration for all of us. This is pretty amazing. Our community is so talented. Yes. The community is so talented. We have the skills to make, Zcash whatever we want it to become. I want to tell you, I've been working on a community project about how Zcash matters to people around the world. That's kind of coincided with the My First Zcash project. So stay tuned. I'm really excited to share firsthand accounts from Zcashers around the world. I'll throw it back to you, Squirrel.
Thanks, Elise. Looking forward to it. That's going to be really cool. Do we have Ryan with us still, or is he gone to sleep? I think he may have. Okay, so Ryan has been working on ZKAV. I was in his last meeting, and we were going through kind of what to expect. And so I don't want to spoil the surprise too much. Perhaps he can speak to it at a later time. But that was kind of everything we had planned for today. Thank you very much to all the speakers that made presentations, and everyone listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Sorry?
I just said thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Cheers for joining.
Thanks, and thanks for hosting.
My pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Happy birthday, Zcash.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Squirrel.
everybody.
Thanks, Lise.
Happy birthday.